why don't we take this opportunity to let everybody know in the chat box where you're from and perhaps at the moment what your focused strategy is. Or favorite, focused or favorite, depends. Sometimes they're two of the same thing, sometimes they're not. So Toronto, multifamily, private lending, Vancouver, BC, focusing on income properties and private lending, Edmonton, distressed properties, multi-unit residential in Kingston, Ontario, currently duplex conversions, still very popular out in that market. Hey, Suzanne. And John here is based in Vancouver. Strategy still to be determined, though likely RTO. Love it. Short-term rentals abroad. Karen. Interesting. We're going to have to hear a little bit about that in a little bit, huh? So Mitch, Edmonton, lease options, private lending, distressed properties, multifamilies, short-term rentals, midterm rentals, long-term rentals. You got it all covered here, Mitch. Aaron, BC Campbell River, currently in Alberta, Grand Prairie focus strategy, maybe distressed properties. Awesome. Thanks for sharing, everybody. I know sometimes it's one of those questions that have become very, very common in the real estate investing communities here. At the same time, I think a lot of people are still quite confused in terms of what strategies are, which strategies are the best for them based on their short-term and long-term goals. So those are some of the things that we're actually going to be touching on today. And you'll see me kind of do this from time to time because my camera's here. And I want to make sure I stay in the frame with you guys tonight. And so with that said, I'm going to get the evening rolling here. And I know this is one of those strategies where most people tend to overlook because you've also heard us at TYT say, money will follow good deals. Money will follow good deals. And our job and our duty as trained and educated investors at the end of the day is to bring good deals to the table. And how you can actually determine whether or not a deal is good. And this is one of the first things that I want you to start to make notes on. Once again, if you've seen me train, watch me train. I've been doing this for nearly a decade now as of today. And I'm very old school in the sense that I truly do believe that if you've been exposed to the cone of learning, if you just take some notes, it's going to help you so much at retaining the information, the education, the nuggets, so much more. And so I would like to encourage you to grab pen and paper right now for yourself. And here's the thing. As educated and professional investors, one of the first things that we always say is money will follow good deals. And what that means is our job is now to find good deals, know how to actually structure the deals before we can actually present the deal so that we can raise the capital or the funds that we are looking for, okay? And so with that said, I just got a quick note from my team here that I need to be pushing this out to Facebook. So hang on one quick second here with me, and we're gonna keep things going. All right. And because we understand that sometimes it's hard for everybody to be here all at the same time. You know what? I'm going to wait to get some help on that front in a bit. Again, as you know, tech stuff is not my strong suit. So, and I'm okay with that. There's always other people that can help me do that. Okay, coming back to this, deals. It's about making sure that you put it through the proper analysis so that you can actually come up with the best structure, and then you can find money to back your deals. And so what this really means is more often than not, what I've seen really in this space, me being an active investor still to this day myself, is that we see a lot of what we call opportunities. Opportunities. Okay, a listing is an opportunity. If you're on some sort of mailing list, even with the wholesaler, sometimes it's an opportunity. Most of the times, if you are on a realtor's mailing list, there are definitely opportunities. And what's the difference between opportunities and deals? What do you think? By the way, this is a live interactive session, so you are allowed to unmute yourself, turn on your camera, interact with me, because that's going to make it a lot more fun for everybody too.
The deals have the good ROI.
Oh yeah, so how do you determine ROI, Suzanne? I love that. How you determine that is, this is really, really the most crucial part of it all, okay? Is the ability to set up your own criteria based on your own risk tolerance, knowledge, and experience level, so that your analysis is going to determine whether or not this is a good deal to pursue. Way too many people just get listings and they get overly excited and they start to want to go look at properties. Usually when that happens, what happens? We get emotional about it. It's no longer easy for us to remain objective. Remember, as educated and trained investors, we always let numbers do the talking. Okay, I want to set some groundwork here because it's going to take a 180 turn. Why? Because the topic that we're focusing on today is how to raise funds to grow your business. In order for you to raise funds, we always say it is always about sharing the wealth. The concept is sharing the wealth. You're allowing and inviting other people with funds. However, maybe they don't have the education or the training that you have invested in. And this is when the perfect relationships come together, okay? I want to make sure that you can still see what I'm writing on the board here. How about I do this? If I spotlight it, does that help at all? Or maybe the easier way is this altogether. Yeah, okay. I kind of figured. Sometimes I do forget that the slides take up a lot of space. So I want you to really look at this structure. Especially if you're already an enrolled TYT student, I'm sure this is starting to sound like a broken record. And I love broken records, by the way, because what that means is we are now living in your head and you're starting to shift and operate like a trained and educated investor. If this is still sounding a little new, or better yet, if you're kind of finding that you're resisting to a few things that I am sharing with you, that I'm teaching you about tonight, it might be a good time for you to start to reflect on your mindset as an investor. Throughout the evening, I'm going to be probably challenging you at different times. And so I always say this, when you come to a TYT seminar or bootcamp or workshop or any courses that we offer, we are here to share with you and to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Because once upon a time, I've had a few mentors and trainers that had to do that with me. And if I did not listen to them, I would tend to get myself in trouble. However, I always realized that I needed to be coachable because this is about money. And more importantly, what we're talking about a lot of the times is this is about other people's money, OPM. And it is our duty and job above and beyond finding good deals and presenting good deals is to protect other people's money. Can we all agree on that? Give me a yes. Okay. Because I don't know about you, one of the main reasons why I decided to get myself educated and get myself financial education is simply because of the fact that back in 2009, I invested into a land development deal in Saskatchewan, and I had zero financial education, zero real estate investing training under my belt. My extent of being a real estate investor back then, and I will use the phrase real estate investor very loosely right now, is the fact that when I moved from Burnaby, BC to Edmonton, Alberta, I left behind my condo and I rented it out. And it was negatively cash flowing, and I still kept it because I was brought up to think that, hey, if you are able to keep that property, you're going to wait for the next 20, 30 years for the big payout, right? That was exactly my mindset, even though I was feeding into it. In short, I was paying my tenants to live in my property. while I'm out there slaving 60 to 80-hour weeks, giving myself another heart attack and not being able to pay my bills and sweating about money at night. That was not a good time. And so in 2009, when somebody told me, hey, you know what? All you got to do is park your money into this commercial syndication deal and we'll grow your money for you. Anybody's heard about opportunities like that? You notice how I said opportunity now? Okay, because I know a lot of us have heard of that. And I know it's very, very tempted because, oh my God, I don't have to do any work and my money's just going to grow for me. Well, yeah, you probably know where the rest of the story is going. Some of you know exactly where I'm going with this. However, at the same time, though, for those of you who are hearing it for the first time, what really happened was because I was looking at my RSPs, my savings accounts, my company stock options. If it gives you any clue, and you're of a certain age level now, I used to work for the Yellow Pages group. I'm honestly completely shocked that they're still around in the year 2023. However, they're still around. The point is, I was looking at my company stock options, all the money that I poured into it. When I remember when I was contributing into it, I think a share was about $13, $14. Nothing crazy like Apple's or Amazon or Facebook or anything like that. However, I remember when I was about to sell it in 2009, 2010, they were considered penny stocks at that point. Now, why did I put my money into company stocks? Well, number one, my parents told me to, or rather, the old traditional mindset of investing told me to. Number two, the company says, hey, you know what? For every dollar you put in, we're going to match 50 cents. I know some of you guys are going, oh, my company matches 100%. No, they match 50 cents on the dollar, which is 50%, which is amazing. However, every time I open up my statement and watching it go down and down and down in value, I want you to think about it from $13 a share to 30 cents a share. I don't care if they're matching 100, 200, 1,000%. The value would still erode and disappear over time. And that's exactly what happened. And that's why when I still had my JOB, I was desperate to find solutions and to find ways so that my money could work harder for me because RSPs wasn't doing anything. Who here is old enough to remember what it was like in 2009? Does anybody remember a global financial crisis? Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I started joining the workforce in 2006. So I worked for 3+ years and I was actually doing relatively well for my JOBs. I was making as a young in my mid-20s, making over 100 something thousand dollars a year consistently already. So by all standards at that point in time, I was doing well. And yet my wealth was not growing. My stress level was, and my savings were actually disappearing. And so as a result, I put my money into this commercial syndication opportunity. And I thought I was walking on cloud nine, walking around like a hot shot as a 28-year-old, thinking I made an amazing decision. I can go around and share with my friends and family that, oh my God, I am a commercial property investor now. And yet, when I made that decision, what happened was I thought I was being super smart. I cashed out my RSP, my savings account, my company stock option, and I put it all into this opportunity in Saskatchewan. And what happened was 2 months later, I got a little letter in the mail that says, oh, we're so sorry. The developer has taken everybody's money and ran. And so a few other investors have now come together and they want to start a civil lawsuit. Would you like to join the lawsuit? If you do, or if you're still contemplating, come to an info session at this law firm. So I did. However, that was a life-changing evening for me. And I hope that tonight, even though nobody's crying, nobody's dying, nobody's losing any money tonight, you're on a free seminar. I want to share this with you because truly, it was one of those moments where every time I look back, it still rattles me and it solidifies the decision that I made back in 2010 to get financially educated. so that I can be able to not just build myself a good life, good cash flow, I can help other people solidify and protect their hard-earned dollars. And so what happened was when I went to that meeting, I thought I was just going to walk into an info session where some lawyer is just going to stand up there and tell us, this is what's going to happen next, and this is what you got to do. No, what I walked into was complete chaos. I walked into a boardroom full of people in their 60s, 70s, maybe even 80s. I really don't know now, to be honest. And I just remember very quickly, I realized I was probably one of the youngest people in that room, if not the youngest person in that room. And that shook me to my very core, because I'm hearing, imagine watching your own grandparents cry, sit on the floor like a 5-year-old throwing a temper tantrum. However, they are obviously distressed. And they're saying things like, that was my entire life's work. How am I going to live? How am I going to put food on the table? How am I going to survive for the rest of my living days? And that scared me. And that shook me. And at the end of all of it, really what I took away really is I needed to do something different. And as a result, I decided to embark on the journey of financial education. However, the funny thing is, the longer I have been in this industry as a real estate investor, or as an investor in general into other business ventures now at this point, the one lesson that I will always take away with me is that whenever people trust you with their money, it's your duty and your job to protect it above all else. And so that is the story that I want to share. And that is the foundation that I want to build with everyone so that we can get tonight's session start on a note that makes sense. So with that said, welcome to tonight's real estate investing seminar on how to raise funds to grow your business and your portfolio for many of us. So what that really means is I'm going to once again just share one of my favorite quotes of all time. It's great that we are also learning hard strategies like distressed properties, wholesale and assignment, income properties, multi-singles, doesn't matter, short-term rentals, service accommodations, lease options, all these different strategies that will allow us to learn how to execute on deals and make money. At the same time, though, as we all know, if we want to continue to grow and scale up, a steady flow and access to capital is definitely needed. And so as a result, based on the story that I've shared with you, this is one of my all-time idols in the business world and being an entrepreneur, is Sir Richard Branson. And he said, if you aren't making a difference in other people's lives, you shouldn't be in business. It's that simple. And so given my personal experience, I know for a fact that there's so many people out there, maybe they've never lost their life savings in one go, like I did. However, I know for a fact that many people are struggling. They're struggling to watch their wealth grow. They're struggling to be able to see that they're going to be they're going to retire well. They're struggling to see whether or not they're even going to retire when they want to retire and enjoy life. And some of them are simply struggling to make ends meet today. And so yesterday, I actually saw a little post on social media. And on the top, if you can picture this, is what looks like a man in his maybe 60s, 70s. And he goes, finally retired as a middle-class age man. And the bottom says, however, stupid inflation pushes me to feel poor again. And that's the thing. And so I'm so excited for everybody that are choosing to be in this room, whether or not you're currently a TYT student and part of the TYT community. This is also one of the main reasons why we love real estate investing as our vehicle so much. It's the fact that it truly has the power to rage against, not just shelter against, rage against inflation. And it can continue to grow wealth while helping people along the way in so many different ways. However, tonight we're going to focus on helping your OPM make money. And as a result, it helps you make money. Who likes the sound of that? Give me a hands up. Okay, so with that said, the next note I want you to write down here is the little phrase we like to say, OPM. Okay, who here can tell me what OPM stands for? My chat box is not open right now, so don't worry about typing. Unmute yourself, show your screen, turn on your camera if you can, unless it's a safety concern or safety concern for others, if you know what I mean. Who here can tell me what OPM means? Other people's money. Okay. So other people money. Some of you, if you've been to a Trust Your Talent bootcamp or workshop, you've already seen this. However, again, repetition is the mother of all learning. We're going to add a couple more letters here, okay? Now, I'm going to introduce you to a new term called opium. Maybe not so new to some of you. I don't know. Not judging. This might be a really good time, since this is going to be going public, this video, to actually abbreviate every single letter here. Okay, I want you to start to think about not just other people's money. Today, we're not going to be talking about institutional money. We're going to be talking about private lending. We're going to be discussing how you can gain access to private investors. Okay, so I want you to write down other people's inactive, underutilized money. Other people's inactive and underutilized money. All right, now is the time. Unmute yourself, turn on your camera. I want to hear what you think would be classified as other people's inactive and underutilized money.
Registered funds.
Ooh, so in Canada, we have registered funds, mostly RSPs or RESPs. If you're in the US, we're talking about your 401ks. What else?
HELOC.
Oh, HELOC is a good one. I love it. HELOC, absolutely. Home equity line of credit. So the equity that is in your principal residence, that's like a piggy bank that most people don't know how to open. However, here's the thing. Without financial education, when most people open up that piggy bank, that is their HELOC, what do they spend on? Asset or liability?
Liabilities.
A lot of the times they spend on liabilities. What are liabilities? Vacations, a reno, okay? Maybe a better wardrobe, maybe a nicer car, maybe a toy. Okay, what else? What else is considered other people's inactive and underutilized money right now? What about other ways of mutual funds? It doesn't even just have to be RSPs and RESPs, because those are registered funds. The different types of money, the different types of traditional investment opportunities out there. So mutual funds, maybe it's parked in stocks. However, it's just being parked there and it's really not giving them the velocity or the returns that they're looking for. What else? Stocks, like I said in my story, company stocks. What about their life insurance policies? I've got that killer slant going on now. What about their life insurance policies? What else? In Canada, tax-free savings account, or even just regular savings account. Or guess what? Maybe cash taped to the back of the toilet. Don't laugh. We still see people like that. That's okay, fine. I'm laughing too, because it is really funny sometimes.
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. Awesome. I want to be very, very clear that I'm not knocking any other investment vehicles, because the whole idea is that an educated investor, okay, listen up carefully, an educated investor is a performance-based investor. Do some of these other vehicles have the ability to gain equity over time in the long term? Possibly. However, right now, is it serving you? Now, I remember one of the questions that one of my mentors asked me a long time ago was also one of those aha moments, okay? And however you want to define this question, and here it is, I'm going to pose it to you. Would you rather be old and rich or young and rich? You don't have to answer me.
Oh,
Just answer yourself. Okay? I like somebody that said both, and that's the whole point. However, 99% of the population, they get old and they finally feel like, okay, I've accumulated something, I can live now. It's not about chasing the bills. That's not what life is meant for, okay? So I want this to start to get circulated in your mind right now. I hope you did make notes, because we're gonna loop back to this towards the latter part of tonight's session, okay? Carrying on, I do have to show a little bit of disclaimer, okay? So that my lawyer likes me and you understand that I'm putting my investor slash mentor slash business owner's hats on. I'm not a licensed realtor, not a licensed accountant, not a licensed lawyer or anything, okay? The point is, we want to share with you as authentically as we possibly can to become and operate like a professional and educated real estate investor tonight. And so with that said, we, even though are not licensed in many different ways, we do work with people that are properly licensed. And to me, there's a lot of power in that. What that means is we get to avoid a lot of red tapes, okay? Now, one thing you might want to make a note for yourself tonight, though, please do not do what we call the spray and pray, especially if you're in Canada. What that means is, after tonight, I don't want you to just write up a templated email and start to spam people and go, hey, I am learning about real estate investing. I might have deals coming up. Would you like to hear about it? Because that is not going to fly really well, especially with the anti-spam legislation that started a few years back here in Canada, okay? And last but not least, I do want to share with you that this video is being recorded and is going to be used for marketing purposes, perhaps. And before we get started, I know we've already gotten started and you've already got your pen and paper ready, which is awesome. So I would like you to grab a blank sheet of paper right now. What we're going to do is, I know you've already been with me for a few minutes here. At the same time, I always like to do this with every single session. So instead of maybe 2 minutes, I'm going to do just 1 minute. Okay, what we're going to do here is, I know life doesn't stop just because you're taking an online seminar right now. So what you're going to do is grab your pen and paper and start to write down all the things that might be taking up mind power and your head space. That could be, oh my God, I just realized that we're out of milk. I got to go to Costco tomorrow. I got to pick up my kids. Oh, my kids has this session after school tomorrow, or I got to take out the garbage tonight. All those little things that are circulating our little heads right now, I want you to unload them and do what we call a mind dump exercise. Okay, so I'm going to give everybody 60 seconds. Grab your pen and paper. Okay, show me your pen and paper on screen. When you're ready, let me know. Okay, ready? 1, 2, grow. You got 1 minute. Start to unload those thoughts. At this point, I would like to ask that everybody turn on their camera, as long as it's not a safety hazard. Okay, you've already scheduled the time. Be 100% present, because the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. Even if you've listened to similar topics and seminars quite a few times, I hope that there's always going to be some sort of nuggets that you can take away. Now, I understand I can see a lot of familiar faces. At the same time, there are a couple of you that I don't see and don't know. So I'm going to share with you, once again, why Trust Your Talent is here and how we are founded. And it really literally started from this exact principle. The quote that I shared with you earlier, that has evolved into an organization that has a vision to elevate human potential by living a strategically positive life. And right now, through financial wellness, we are working on the mission to create financial independence one person at a time. Now, who here can tell me the difference between financial independence and financial freedom? Anyone? We always say, how are you going to hit a target that you cannot see or that you don't see? Definitions matter as a trained and educated investor. Okay, this is very, very important, especially when it comes to raising funds.
Independence is being able to meet your needs and cover all of your monthly bills. And freedom is when you get to do whatever the heck you want.
Love it. Love it. Thank you, John. And so with that said, yes, very, 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 very close to our technical definition. However, we understand that with words like financial independence and financial freedom, there's usually a lot of emotions that go along with it. So in a little bit, I'm going to share with you exactly how you can define it, because I understand that a lot of the times when we're going out there to raise funds, to grow our portfolio, to fund our deals, it is very important for you to share your vision for yourself, for your business as an investor. And you need to be very clear about how you articulate those concepts, because through that process, you are able to influence, you're able to impact, and you're able to move other people to go, all right, I'm going to whip out my checkbook now and write you a check. Okay. I'm dating myself now, a checkbook. Who here still uses a checkbook, by the way? I don't remember when was the last time I actually wrote an actual check. However, I still use that analogy because that's the era that I grew up in. And I saw one hand go up. That's about it. And so with that said, though, as a community, these are the 5 core values that we live by. And I know sometimes it's kind of going, well, hang on a second. We're here to learn about real estate investing and raising funds for to grow my portfolio. What do the core values have anything to do with it? Well, we are first and foremost a financial education academy. We leverage real estate investing as our vehicle, as our tool to help everybody create multiple sources of income and long-term and maybe even generational wealth. And so to us, financial wellness falls under the health category. And then we have sustainability. We all know that sometimes, depending on what's happening out there in the world, if you maybe catch the right opportunity, you can make some fast money. However, internally, as one of our trainer, Ryan says, who teaches income properties or multifamily investing, he always says, this is not about get rich quick, especially when you're using real estate as your investment vehicle. However, it's about getting rich for sure. And the wealth needs to last. So by a show of hands, just so that I know, who here is to build generational wealth as well? Not just for you. There we go. And that's what this is about, okay? And joy, fulfillment, and impact. Those kind of go together as a bundle deal, simply because of the fact that if you're not happy doing what you're doing, how many 10-year blocks do you have in a lifetime? Got to be happy doing what you're doing. And are you fulfilled? Does your life bring you meaning? And last but not least, are you making a positive impact into the world? And that's why Trust Your Talent is here. So in addition to just training real estate investing curriculum, we really do believe that at the end of the day, after all is said and done, our vision and our mission and our core values are what created this community and what continue to drive this community forward. So with that said, I'm going to share with you exactly how we're going to do this. First thing first, I want to take a quick poll of the room because it always helps me understand how I'm going to pace tonight a bit better, okay? So take the next 30 seconds, answer 4 simple questions for me. It should be popping up on your screen now. So take the next 30 seconds, answer these 4 questions for me. Because sometimes as an instructor, I understand I'm dealing with people from all walks of life, different level of experiences. It helps me guide you a lot more.
Question 4 didn't have a question, President.
Sorry, who's that? And your sound was a little muffled.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Question 4 didn't have a question.
Question
just, like,
4 did not
untitled.
have a question.
There's an untitled
That's-
question.
Maybe that was a mistake there. Okay, so just 1, 2, and 3. It didn't take. Okay, 5 more seconds. We're waiting for a lot more answers. Come on, we got 30 people that should be answering right now. Got 19, 20, 21. We got 9 more people in this room that have not answered yet. Okay. If you're around, make sure you take the poll. There we go. Okay, 22. I'm gonna shut her down now. Okay, let's take a look at the result here. Have you invested in real estate yet? There's about 3/4 of those who answered said yes. And about 1/4 of you have not started yet, which is fine. Tonight is a soft skills seminar, so it's very applicable in a lot of different areas. Have you reached financial independence or financial freedom through investing yet? Well, one person said yes, and the rest of you said no. And earlier, I understand Jonathan so kindly shared his definition. I'm just going to share our technical definition with everybody. And you're going to see this over and over and over again, because to me, and to all of us here at Trust Your Talent, it's a very, very core concept that I encourage all of you to fully understand and also be able to speak to it, which is what we call the wheel of wealth. The wheel of wealth is broken down into 3 different income buckets. And the income buckets are earned income, passive income, and portfolio income. Now, once again, I want to be very clear that we did not come up with this. This is not proprietary, okay? How the wheel of wealth is constructed is based on largely, especially in Western developed countries, how each individual and business is taxed by their federal tax authorities. I know it's a lot less fun when you put it that way now. I get it. It's okay. However, this is something that we all need to know, because what happens is most people have earned income, okay? Because the biggest earned income for people are from their, what we call JOBs. JOBs, you're just over broke. They pay you just enough to keep you there. However, it doesn't really exactly help you excel in life or live life the way you truly want and deserve. And so most people, if you've worked really hard, you got some good earned income, and if you manage to live below your means for an extended amount of time, which I don't really recommend. I was very, very good at budgeting, by the way, because I was an international student and I wasn't allowed to make money for a while, and I was living on allowances and I had to be very smart about my money. However, what I really found out is that living on a budget for an extended amount of time is actually soul crushing. It made it so hard for me to see beyond the limitations and explore the true possibilities that life has to offer. And so that was really when I decided that I needed to do something different also, aside from losing my entire life saving in 2009. And so what happens is, if you manage your money relatively well, you put money away, again, maybe in RSPs, maybe in savings, maybe in company stock options and other investment vehicles, or maybe you've already started investing in real estate because some of you said yes to that question. You may have built up some equity, and equity falls into the portfolio income bucket. At the same time, though, so many people think equity is awesome. Yay, because this is how the traditional mindset people, when it comes to money, will view it as a great thing because that's where wealth is accumulated. However, you also need to know that this income bucket is taxed the most. This income bucket is taxed the most. If anybody's ever dealt with estate taxes, okay, inheritance taxes, or worse yet, anybody has known anybody who's had maybe parents or elderlies pass away, however, did not get the proper paperwork set up. That's when they find out how much taxes the government can actually take when it comes to portfolio income. And yet, most people are lacking what we call passive income. Okay, now I want to go back to why we're even here, because we're simply talking about the definition between financial independence versus financial freedom. In our world, financial independence simply means that you do not have to rely on a job, or better yet, one single boss or one employer to determine your livelihood. Meaning you do not have to rely on somebody to give you a paycheck. You have the skills, the knowledge, the resources, and the support to create income for yourself in all economic conditions, in all places. Okay, that is what we call financial independence through creating earned and passive income. Now, achieving financial freedom simply means that your passive income has now been equal to or greater than what we call your basic expenses. What are your basic expenses? Basic expenses for most of us could be, again, lodging. That could be, if you're renting, that's your rent. For some of us, if you have a principal residence and you still have a loan on it, that's your mortgage payment, that's your property taxes, insurance, your utility bills, maybe even securities that you got to pay for. Many of us have either transit, bus passes, Uber expenses, or we have car or cars in our family. So that means car payments, gas, registration, car insurance, once again, grocery bills, your cables, your cell phones these days, your computers, your internet connections. All these are considered your basic expenses to keep your household and your life going. Okay, so one of them, financial independence, means that you know enough strategies and have enough skills that you can create income from both earned and passive ways to support your expenses. And financial freedom means that you have enough passive income to cover all of your passive expenses. Okay, that is the technical definition based on the wheel of wealth. You may have heard it called the circle of wealth. It's the same thing. We like the wheel of wealth just because most of us, once again, it kind of looks like we have this checked, maybe a little bit of this checked. Most of us don't have that. And so when you see it as a wheel, how smooth is your financial life? Not very. However, I know a lot of you have already embarked on your education to change that, and it is now time for you to pay it forward. Okay, so with that said, what this means really is that when you are actually out there sharing with others, hoping and planning to raise OPM to help you grow and help them grow, this is one of the things that I always make very clear with my potential investors. Why? Because maybe this is you also. I don't know. I've had investors that I talk to, or potential investors before they turn into actual investing partners. Sometimes they go, you know what, Tim, I really don't care about being financially free. because I'm in my 50s, my job's pretty easy, I basically pay my dues already, I don't clock in more than 7.5 hours a day, and in another 6 7 years I'm going to be retiring with a very decent pension, and I've been contributing to my RSPs. However, I can see that now my kids are going to have a really, really hard time growing their wealth other than what I'll be leaving with them. However, if I live too long, maybe I'll spend it all. These are sometimes what you might run into. And that's why it's helpful for you to actually work it out with them. Which income bucket are they actually looking to fill? So here's a pop quiz right now. Based on that example that I just gave you, do you think this investor is going to jump in with you when you have an active income strategy? Probably not. What about a passive income strategy that you're raising funds for? Maybe, potentially. Remember, they don't care about that. And here's another thing. Most of these people, they'll probably say things to you like, oh my God, Tim, please do not pay me on a monthly basis. Maybe don't even pay me on an annual basis. I just want my money to grow and in a safe vehicle with somebody that I can trust. Because I already make $200,000-$300,000 from my current job. I mean, I've been slaving at my job for 30 years now. That's the income level that I'm at. So the more you give me, the more the government will take away from me. Okay. And this is why, as an educated investor, I will share this with you. Income and asset protection is a must-have skill set for you to speak to also when it comes to the subject of raising funds for your business. Now, this does not necessarily mean that you have to be 100% fluent, because your job is not to become a lawyer. I don't want you to go back to law school and get a degree or to become an accountant to do that. It's the fact that you need to have that basic understanding, which, as most of you know, you're going to be able to learn that through the bonus session, either with me and continuing learning with Ryan during business fundamentals tutorials. And now, going back here, where's the answer? What do you think that investor is looking to build? They're still looking to build portfolio income. They're just looking for somebody, once again, they can trust in a safe vehicle, and they can actually clearly see that the return is better than what they're currently doing. Okay, so sometimes it's just that simple. Now, the second thing that I want to do quickly with everyone here again is I want to get a sense in terms of where everybody's at, because this one really in particular is going to determine how quick or how slow we go tonight. Can everybody see the poll on the screen? Yeah? No?
No,
Hang on a second.
there it is.
Buffering. There we go. Okay. Okay, 6 responses. 10. Come on, we had 22 earlier. Let's break that record. 14. Keep going. 15. Come on. 16. 17. Come on. 19. The more responses, the better gauge I have. Help me out here. Help me help you. 21, 22. Come on. One more. 23. Thank you. Okay. If there's no more, I'm going to end the poll. 24. Look at that. 25. Wow. You guys sure know how to humor me tonight. Okay. Right here. I'm going to end the poll. And I'm going to share the results with everyone. Have you ever invested in your financial education? Yes, 92%. I love you guys. And 8% no so far. It's okay. I don't love you any less. I just encourage you to embark on the journey of financial education, because I'm going to be straight up with everyone. I'm 100% biased. Everybody should be financially educated. Everybody needs to be. because we no longer live in a world where money means anything. Money is no longer backed by asset unless you choose for it to be backed by asset. I'm going to say that again. We live in a world where money is no longer backed by asset. And really the bracket there is determined by the government. We live in a world where you choose how you secure your money. That's really what it is. And this is why we choose a hard asset like real estate. Now, I want to quickly differentiate hard asset versus everything else. Okay, hard assets are assets such as real estate that's performing, gold, precious metals that are performing. Those are hard assets, meaning you can see them, you can touch it if you want to. Okay, what about stocks, crypto, mutual funds? Those are paper assets. Okay, and more often than not, we have way little to no control over the performance of those things. And again, you don't really see them or touch them when you want to. So I wanted to be very, very clear about that. And frankly, though, I always share this. Over 90% of our entire portfolio today is still built and continue to build upon OPM, other people's money, or OPM, other people's inactive, underutilized money, because of the fact that we were educated. Okay, I want you to kind of just journey back with me a little bit. I mean, I'm 41 now. However, I started this journey when I was 28. And some of you might say I'm very blessed by the Asian genes because I do look younger than my age to most people most of the times. Don't say anything else. So at 28, I literally look like a teenager. When I first learned about this, I was going to people and asking them for hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest into my deals, if not millions of dollars. And guess what got me through the door? Was the fact that I was able to demonstrate that I am taking my financial future very seriously, and I am taking other people's money very, very seriously. And as a result, I invested in myself to make sure that I can protect everybody's money to the best of my ability. And so this is why this question is super important. Now, question number 2, if yes, how much have you invested in yourself so far? I can see that I'm in a room of, wow, people that really do believe in personal development. I love it. I mean, it's a never-ending journey. Over the last 13 years now at this point, I'm going to say I'm pretty much, I don't even know how much. However, I'm definitely at above the $250,000 mark as well, between all the different personal and professional trainings that I have invested in myself. And it's just, once you get it, you'll never go back. Like you'll just never go back. And so what is your view on financial education? It's not necessary just buy investments. It's a great tool to have, but not for everyone. And it's a must. So I feel like we are in a very good room here. There's not a whole lot that I need to address at the moment. So let's carry on. And thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and your results and where you are at right now. And so with that said, the rest of the evening, it's leveraging financial education and real estate investing to raise funds. And I already shared with you why that is a little bit, and how to approach a potential investor. That's pretty much going to be the ballpark of the next little while. And then last but not least, I'm going to do an open Q&A and share some of the next steps with everyone. I keep on going out of frame, so this is weird. Okay, I'm gonna adjust this and move away from my board. How's that? I think that'll probably be a lot easier for all of us. So understanding what being an educated, trusted, and professional investor means, okay? Here is the first thing that you need to understand. If I just came to you today and go, hey, you know what, Megan, how about, I have this business idea. And really, I mean, I'm calling a business. However, I really just want to buy a few properties. And I saw in the newspapers that there is going to be a pre-sale on a beautiful, beautiful building by a very reputable builder in downtown Toronto. And I know it's really hot. It's going to be great. So do you want to go and line up and maybe put a down deposit on a couple of units? Because we know, right? Once it's built in a couple of years, it's going to be great. However, I don't have all the money that I need. Would you go in on it with me? I mean, it's a mouthful there already. And I can see by most of your enthusiastic reaction right now that it's a no. You just don't have the heart to say no to my face right now. And that is what's happening in the world a lot of the times, is that so many people, they are buying courses, maybe even finding deals. And that was obviously not a great example. However, there are people that are simply taking one strategy at a time, and they're not getting the full comprehensive view about what it's like to be a completely educated investor so that they can be fully trusted. Because in TYT, we always say this: if you've never heard about this, make sure you write it down. It's what we call the 3x3 approach now. Okay, before COVID lockdowns, we used to say 2x2. However, because the COVID lockdowns and what it's done to the world economies, you need at least 3 different exit strategies in 3 different markets now in order for you to be able to protect the portfolios that you are growing. Okay, 3x3. We used to say 2x2 prior to lockdowns. However, we want to give you something very straightforward and simple to follow, is 3x3. Some of them might be hybrid strategies, okay? However, we're going to go into that in other seminars or at the boot camp or at the workshop when you come to them. Now, I want to share this with you once again. So many of you have seen this already. At the end of the day, are we buying properties and investing in properties for the sake of buying them? Yes or no? No. Okay. It has never been about properties because you have so many other options. You can still invest in stocks. You can still invest in Amazon and Google if you wanted to. You can still start a business. Some people decide to start a multi-level marketing business as well. Some people decide to buy franchises. Some people decide to do a startup. However, the goal is the same, is to create income. And I also want you to make a note of this. An average millionaire today has 7 sources of income, if not more. Okay. An average millionaire today has an average of 7 sources of income, if not more. And so here is the cool thing about leveraging real estate investing as our tool, is the fact that we treat every single property as a viable business. And as a viable business, it needs to provide positive cash flow, meaning net profit, at the end of every month. And when it does that, it is now a source of income. And as long as you have 7 or more, you're matching that statistics. Okay. Now, that's a simple way of looking at it. Obviously, not all deals and not all strategies in all markets are created equally. However, I want you to just break it down into the fact that everybody is in this room because you have a financial goal in mind. Yes or yes? And that goal, please don't say, I want to buy 5 properties or 10 properties this year. This is why one of the questions earlier is, have you reached, if you've been investing, have you reached financial independence and or financial freedom at this point, working with your investments? If the answer is no, then you know this formula takes a lot of weight on you. And it should, because all of us need to remind ourselves constantly, especially when it comes to real estate. I get it. It sometimes can be really, really sexy to look at the beautiful show homes, to look at the beautiful pre-constructions and the amazing architecture of a new condo development. However, at the end of the day, is it going to feed your bank account, meaning paying your bills on a day-to-day basis so that you stress less? Or is it going to feed your ego? Which one would you rather feed, bank account or ego? I'm not going to deny the fact that maybe your ego will be fed in the long term. However, right now, the bank account hand should go all the way up. Okay. The bank account hand should go all the way up. And once you're very clear about your financial goal, I want to make it very clear that this exercise that I'm doing with you and this slide that I'm going through with you is also the exact same process that I walk through with every single one of my potential money partners, because I want to understand why they would want to invest. What is investing going to do for them? And why are they willing to choose real estate and real estate investing as their main vehicle as I do? Okay. And then only when I have a very clear picture about their financial goal. Remember, you're sharing the wealth, because your job now is to make sure that later on, when you present strategies or when you're giving them a high level training on what the strategy entails to help them reach their goals, after that, they are basically just what we call armchair investors. They don't want to be stressing about their money and how it's going to do with you. They just need to know that they can trust you, you're growing their money, and you're being diligent about managing their investment. Okay. And so once that happens, once you have their goal, meaning a financial goal, again, not to be crass, however, it is a dollar-driven number. It's a dollar-driven amount. And after that, you can then share the process an educated investor uses. And that's the funny thing. This process actually does not just apply to real estate, even though SMP stands for strategy, market, and property. P really can be any other investment vehicles in this particular case. However, tonight, we're focusing on leveraging real estate investing, because when it comes to strategy, who here knows that even in stocks, trading stocks, there can be hundreds of different strategies also. I didn't know that until a couple of years ago. I just thought that same thing, you just buy it. But then it's really funny because we keep saying, please don't do buy, rent, and pray when it comes to real estate. People do that with stocks. And which market are you going to go into with the chosen strategies? And only after you've picked out your 3x3, your 3 strategies in 3 different markets, are you going to go in and look at properties. So these are the opportunities that you will look at before you put them through your analysis. Okay. Now, with that said, though, this is why I really, really want to share this quote tonight. I don't always share this one. However, a wise person should have money in their head and not in their heart. Because in the context of raising funds, it is never about getting somebody else's money in your bank account as quickly as possible. It's really about if you help somebody make money, guess what happens? Let's put it this way, Mitch. Hey, say if you were a money partner with me today and we do a deal successfully and you cash out and I deliver everything as promised, what's your response when you get that money back? You're probably not going to want the money back. You want the money to keep working for you with me.
Exactly.
And that's exactly how we grow. And so this is the part where I do have to say, it is in the beginning, one deal at a time. Most of our growth cycle looks like a hockey stick. Okay, most of us are Canadian, so that should be a simple analogy, right? If you picture a hockey stick right now in front of you, it kind of looks like from the beginning, the tip, that edge there, to the point where it goes into a long, sharp turning stick. It feels like it takes forever. However, once you hit that tipping point, the growth becomes exponential. The growth does become exponential as long as you're doing right by your money partners. And so with that said, this is a quick review. Just not hand drawn, that's all. So when you are talking to potential money partners, I keep using the word potential because they are potential at this point. You got to understand what their end goal is. And so if you realize that everybody is investing to feed into a certain financial goal or to accomplish a certain financial number, you also want to understand, why is that number so important to them? Why is that number so important to them? This is the same process that I think most of you have gone through prior to getting enrolled into the TYT community. What's your why? Because if you don't have a reason of making money, money's not going to motivate you. There's always a bigger picture behind it. And as I mentioned, for a lot of people, it's financial freedom. It's to leave a legacy or create generational wealth. Or for some, it's simply just to be able to say that, you know what? Oh, I no longer stress about my retirement days. Because anybody's heard of the 40-40-40 plan versus the 7-7-7 plan? Okay, 40-40-40, write this down. See, I like to write things down, so I'm going to bring my board back quickly. 40-40-40 plan. Write this down on a piece of paper for yourself right now. By the way, those of you who know me, you know that this is not my normal and regular attire. I am slightly more dressed up today for a reason, and that reason is you still want to put your best foot forward, especially when you're meeting a potential money partner for the very first time. Okay, to be completely frank with everyone though, I'm doing this for your benefit because I still show up in t-shirts and shorts. Sometimes I show up with potential money partners in tank tops and shorts. However, I've done that in my careers now, so depends. And to me, that's my authentic self. Not to say this is not my authentic self, I just wanted to make a point with everybody, is that in the beginning, people do carry certain stereotypes about what an investor should look like or a professional should look like. So I would encourage you in the beginning to dress the part, okay? Now, we did talk about just now the 40-40-40 plan. I know I haven't actually talked about this in a long time. If you've watched my Daily Dose with Tim, you've seen this already. However, if you don't remember what it is, I'll give you a quick refresher. That means most people will work 40 hours a week. That's if you're lucky. I can see on this screen right now, most of us are bona fide professional workaholics sometimes. I'm just kidding. It just means that, you know, we take pride in what we do. And more often than not, we work more than what's required. And that's okay, as long as it gives you meaning and it fulfills you. However, for the most part, it really doesn't. So 40-40-40 means most people will work for 40 hours a week for 40 years. That's another joke right there now. Maybe it's more like 50-50-50 now, who knows? However, no, because the 40 wouldn't make sense. You work for 40 hours a week for 40 years, only to retire with 40% of your income. Okay, remember, even RRSPs, Registered Retirement Savings Plan, those are not tax exempt. It's tax deferred. If you want to take out more money later on, you still get taxed based on the income tax brackets. That's the word I'm looking for. Okay. Which means if you want to live a better life, you still get taxed more. There's no difference there. You don't get to keep anymore. And this is what the majority of people, and especially middle-class people, don't understand. Okay. Now, I don't know if this is a tool that most of you will be able to use. I've used this quite a few times to help my investors understand why they want to start investing, okay? So if you haven't seen this before, or even if you have, still draw it out for yourself. This is a simple income statement. Within an income statement, what do we have usually? We have income, and then we have expenses, money in, money out, okay? And then at the bottom, we have assets and liability. Or funny enough, it's usually liabilities. Because, you know, we're in North America, so it's the North American dream. We get to walk into car dealerships and banks and Best Buy and Home Depot and all these places and get credit. Buy now, pay later. And this is why most of us become perpetually trapped in the rat race in this great country of ours, or even in this great continent of ours. So what I want to share with you here is the money mindset, okay? Sometimes you might have to whip this one out just because you kind of sense that they're nowhere close. They're nowhere close to investing with you yet. However, this is a long-term drip kind of tool. So what we'll do here is I'm gonna make it very clear that this is about money mindset, okay? Between the poor, the middle class, and the wealthy. So the poor mindset, so I don't mean that they're actually poor, because there are a lot of people that make really, really good active incomes that are poor. They're still paycheck to paycheck. It doesn't matter if they're making $50,000 a year or $500,000 a year or $5 million a year, they remain poor. Anybody seen that post where, let's say, Lindsay Lohan, in her lifetime so far, she has made, as a young star, over $30 million. And yet today, she's worth not even $800,000. Mike Tyson, we all know Mike Tyson, has made over $700 million in his lifetime. And today, is it a wonder why we see him all of a sudden a lot more on media now? Apparently, he's only worth a couple $1 million. So it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep, and it has everything to do with your mindset. And so the poor, the way they treat money and then think about money is when money comes in, it goes right out to pay all of their expenses, okay? What are these expenses other than your basic expenses? Maybe they love to shop to fill a void. By the way, I want to point out here that savings is considered an expenses. Because slow money is a liability and it's an expense. I mean, even in the accounting sense, it is an expense because it's money taken out of your income that gets parked somewhere else, okay? However, it is definitely not serving you, especially with inflation, okay? Can anybody tell me what inflation rate was like last month? Anybody? It came down from 7.9 at one point in Canada.
5.6.
5.6. Who here has money in a savings account earning more than 5.6% a year? Okay, one person. Good for you, Joe. What about everybody else? You're the 1%er here, Joe. Congratulations. That's exactly what we're talking about. Inflation is eroding your money away. So money in, money out, at the end of the day, they get left with nothing. And again, most of us, if you're in this room, I'm going to say this is probably where most of us started. Either you're like me, what I would consider lower middle class, or average middle class, or higher middle class. Doesn't matter what it is. It's the whole idea that the middle class have now been blessed with the ability maybe for higher traditional education, which is, by the way, still very important. I'm not discrediting that. When they make money, they now start to live what I call the North American dream. They start to buy big houses, get into mortgages, buy nice cars, buy nice vacations, take out debt, take out loans, buy a new home theaters, and every single month, those bills come due, and all the money goes out. And it is still nada left at the end of the day. And this is why all of you give yourselves a pat on the back. You are starting to treat yourself and your financial future to think and act like what the wealthy do, okay? When money comes in first, this is why a lot of the times you don't actually see them driving crazy nice cars, living in beautiful mansions and having multiple vacation homes in the beginning of their career. because maybe they're the first generation that's building generational wealth. However, if their mindset starting to shift, their actions have started to shift. What they're doing is when money comes in, when they make income, it goes towards investing in an asset first. By the way, pop quiz, what is by far the greatest income generating asset on this planet? Unmute yourself or type in chat box. Well, I have a lot of unread messages here. What is the greatest income generating asset on this planet that we all have access to? Love it. Yeah,
Ourselves, people.
Gloria, ourselves, us. We forget that sometimes. I've had so many sessions before and people are like, real estate, stock, Bitcoin, Amazon. No, ourselves, okay? So invest in yourself because by far you're your greatest income generating asset. However, here we're still talking about real estate investing. And so you'll still have to invest in yourself to get the knowledge, to get the experience, to get the coaching and the mentoring so that that asset or multiple assets that you will now build will spit out income. And this is why I would rather do 1 or 2 great deals a year than buy 20 properties that I end up having to carry and pay people to live in. Does that make sense? I want you to all develop a bit of an allergy when you go to networking events outside. And one of the first questions that people ask you is, oh, you're in real estate or you invest in real estate. How many properties do you have? I don't give a flippin' anything about that question. And that's usually the first sign that you're an amateur. Thank you. We don't share the same mindset. I'm happy to help you if you're open. However, a lot of the times that just means that they are investing in real estate or buying real estate rather to feed their ego, not their bank accounts. And here's what the wealthy does. They invest in asset that'll spit out income, and then they will take on liabilities. So for example, I always use ourselves as an example. Many of you know me and my partner, my husband, Ray. We're not big car people. However, we like our German builds and our cars, you know, I actually have a limit. I will not spend more than $100,000 on a car. However, we drive decent cars, I think. So every time when we decide to get a new vehicle, it is not blindly going to a dealership and just pick out a vehicle we want. It is, hey, you know what? If this car is going to be $100,000, we're going to raise $100,000. I mean, most of the times these days, we have that money sitting in the bank account. However, the point is, we will take that $100,000. We are going to go and acquire an income generating asset because if that vehicle, the lease payment on a monthly basis, let's say it's going to be $1,400, $1,500 plus gas, plus insurance, plus registration on a monthly basis, we're going to make sure that we acquire an asset, in this case, real estate, through a strategy that is going to spit out $1,400 on a monthly basis, and then we get into that debt. However, our money is preserved here. $100,000 is preserved here. Every single month, money keeps coming back, and it pays for that car when the bills are due. So the money stays on this side. I want you to stare at this graph for a little bit, okay? The wealthy keeps the money in income and asset, and they create that loop for themselves. Nothing else on the right-hand side matters anymore. I'm gonna let that sink in a little bit. And like I said, this is a graph that I actually leverage from time to time when I realize that the person that I'm speaking to may not be really close to becoming an investor yet of any kind, because they're still thinking, oh, wow, I live for the weekend. I like to go shopping on the weekends. Oh, my friends or my family, my cousin, my parents just told me that my cousin just bought a beautiful, beautiful new house. oh, I must win that war. Okay. Or my coworker just drove up in a brand new Mercedes. And ooh, I'm looking at my car. It's about 3 years old now. It's about time for me to get something new. And so they go into that straight up poor money mindset. And this is when you can leverage this graph to share with them. You're not telling them that, the way they're operating is not good or silly or even stupid. We don't do that. Our job is to share the wealth, spread the knowledge. They will self-select when they are ready. And if they're never ready, it's not your problem. Okay? I want to make that very, very clear, because every time I approach somebody, I can say full-heartedly that it's because I want to share the wealth and I want to help people take off the financial burden. Did you know that money is the #1 issue in every relationship? Money is the #1 issue in every household. Money is the #1 issue that causes divorces in the world. That should tell you something. It's not about being Canadians or being American, even in the world. Because while money does not buy happiness directly, it buys options that can create a lot more abundance and breathing room in life. Isn't that all we want anyway? Just so that life can be a little happier and a lot easier at times. And so some of you know that we enjoy vacations. We vacation half the year, every single year, and we have assets paying for it. And recently we just came back from a trip in Orlando. We went to Disney World. That's kind of like an annual thing now for us. And we always come across people that will say things like, wow, we saved for 5 years, 10 years for this trip. And here we are going every single year, sometimes twice a year, going, well, we have properties paying for all these trips. So even though, yes, I spend the money, but the money keeps making money for me to continue to go on these trips. I'm not saying these things to brag. However, I'm saying these things, I'm sharing these things with you because it was a decision, a choice that I made 13 years ago to live a little differently, to operate a little differently. Okay. And it all starts with the mind. And that's why I also shared a quote with you earlier. It lives in the mind, not the heart. Okay. So on this front, I'm going to come back to our regular programming and continue on. How to approach a potential investing partner. First thing first, you'll see a very, very clear message, I hope, by now. If not, I'm just going to reiterate it. Another one of my all-time favorite quotes is by Zig Ziglar. You can have everything in life that you want if you will just help enough people get what they want. And that is the underlying message of everything that we're discussing tonight in terms of how you raise funds. Okay? Please do not, even if you're trained, even if you have a strategy, even if you have a deal on the table that you know is profitable, you never ever going there and do what I call a shotgun approach. Meaning you don't just sit down with them and go, all right, let me show you what this deal about and let me show you the numbers. 9 out of 10 times, that's not going to go over too well for you unless you've already had that pre-conversation. And that is, again, what tonight is about, is have that pre-conversation, because as you grow your real estate investing portfolio and business, you're going to realize a big word that we use is this: database. In wholesale and assignment, you're going to learn more about how to build a buyer's database, a properties database. When in lease options, you're going to hear and learn about how to build tenant buyer's database. In this particular soft strategy course, Raising Funds, you're going to learn more about how you can build an investor or capital's database. Okay, it's no different than when we teach you when it comes to credit. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. As an investor, when it comes to access to money, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. It's the same principle. So I'm hoping that some of you guys now, if you've especially been with TYT for a while, you can start to connect the dots for yourself. And these are the first conversations that you want to focus on, is to be able to find out how you can add value to other people's lives. And so some of the crucial components I want to discuss now is, what's your why? I know it's getting fluffy for some of us. However, I'm going to share this with you. Statistically speaking, psychologically speaking, or however you want to call it, all of us, we are at the end of the day still human beings, meaning we have emotions and feelings. And what that means is, human beings, we buy based on emotions and we justify it by logic. Okay, I want you to hear that again. We buy based on emotions and we justify it based on logic. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because if you're striking up these conversations as a newbie, especially, meaning maybe you've never raised funds before, or maybe you've only raised a little bit of money and you're kind of stuck, you don't know how to get to the next level, it probably means that you're coming across as a bit more of a money grabber than somebody who's sincerely wanting to grow a win-win working relationship as an investor. And that comes down to, what is your why? Okay, I want you to make some notes here, because it's a seminar today. I want you to be very clear on the fact that you're going to probably be doing some inner work after the session tonight. What's your why? This why can be as simple as, why did you choose real estate investing as your main vehicle? And what do you want that to do for your life? Maybe for your family's life. Maybe for your parents' life. Maybe for your siblings' life. As I mentioned, I've been training and teaching for nearly a decade now, and having been an active investor for nearly 14 years at this point, and uneducated between 2004 and 2010. So in the last almost 20 years now, I have actually come across people that their whys would shock you. However, when you can share those reasons, it's a lot easier for you to build those connections with the people you're talking to, okay? So I want you to really think about why you are choosing to embark on the journey of financial education. That's a why. Okay, I know sometimes it gets overly philosophical, so I want to give you some words behind the why that you can maybe work on. So why did you decide to embark on to get financially educated? What was wrong with your traditional education? What was wrong with your degree and a piece of paper that you got? What's wrong with the maybe high income earning jobs that you have right now? Why is getting financially educated so important? And then answer the question, why did you choose real estate investing as your main vehicle? As I mentioned earlier, you could have chosen to go into a multi-level marketing company. You could have chosen to buy a franchise. You could have chosen to do a startup, a passion project. You could have chosen to do so many other things and invest in so many other different things. Why choose real estate and real estate investing? And I will predict this for every single one of you. If you're able to answer these two questions intelligently and with authenticity, it's going to be really easy for you to break the ice with everybody that you speak to. It could be at a networking event, in person, public, or even via Zoom. Okay. And when you want to polish that, you need to go to raising funds for your business. And then, what's your vision for building a portfolio? I literally have students that go, hey, you know what? As long as I buy a couple of multi-units, I'm happy. Like literally within the TYT community, I think some of you might know who I'm talking about. Some of you may not, doesn't matter. We literally have a student right now. She's been working for about nearly 20 years of her life. She just joined the community last year. And her focus strategy is lease options right now. And she did her first deal a few months ago. And that one deal more than paid for her investment in her financial education, which means her return on investment is already infinite, first of all. Second of all, if I remember the numbers correctly, which I do, because I know the deal very intimately right now, having helped her work through it, is the fact that right now she can choose to do a second deal or 1,000 deals or no deal at all. And yet her first deal has already paid her more than 100% return because it's infinite. Where else are you going to go when you can have a vehicle like real estate investing to help you build income and wealth and have that kind of return in 12 months? Okay, so these are the things that you want to think about. And it's especially for those of you that are in TYT, connect with each other. And I know a lot of us we already do that a lot. So get to know each other's stories, because these are the stories that you can share and leverage each other's success stories and journeys to speak to your investors about. Okay, be proud of the community that you're in. I know I am. So the next one is, what's your USP? Not UPS, USP. Okay, write this down. USP stands for unique selling point. Unique selling point. Especially in the very beginning. Okay, I want to share with you the path of least resistance to start to build your investors database. What's your USP? Your USP could be you're either single, you're married, you have a corporate job, you're a public servant, you're in law enforcement, you're an accountant, you're into CrossFit, you do F45, you go to Good Life for workouts, you like to do yoga, maybe you're a divorced person, maybe you're a professor, maybe you are in whatever it is that you are, whatever the traditional labels are. To sum up, whatever the traditional labels are, seek out those people to talk to. Because guess what? Those are usually the easiest people for you to start to build an initial bond. Okay, in sales training, they call that building rapport. However, I just want to share with you how easy it could be. Or maybe you're in healthcare, like Aaron, like Suzanne before. Okay, and Edric, there we go. I see you. So those are the things that you want to think about. However, last and definitely not least, if the message has not sunk in yet, is what have you done to be taken seriously and considered trustworthy? Would you invest in somebody's deal when they never invested in themselves? Okay, and here's another example for you, because like I said, I've been mentoring around the world on this subject, especially for a long time now. And from time to time, I still come across students who are a little cheeky. You know, these are usually your very typical middle class, dual income. You know, kids are probably in their teens now or already in college, so they're not at home anymore, and they're making 200-300 grand from their decent corporate jobs. So life's pretty good. They're cruising, they're coasting now. And they will go during the mentorship and say, Tim, listen, we've learned so much about this whole OPM concept, and we've taken courses now, and now we're doing the mentorship. We don't want to use our own money to back our own deals. We want to test out if the training actually works. What do you say to that? What do you think I say to that? Normally at this point, I will definitely say, well, hang on a second. I thought the whole point of you embarking on financial education and choosing real estate investing as your main vehicle to create more income and better secured wealth is because nobody cares about your money more than you do. Okay. And if that's not even the case, because, you know, the running joke is, yeah, maybe you don't care about your money that much, but I know your kids definitely do because they're waiting for it. However, the whole thing about it is, if you don't care about your own money, how do you think your potential investor is going to see that? And the other thing is, how do you think people are going to think if you go to them and go, hey, John G, because I know we have two Johns here tonight. Let's say, hey, John Grant, Mr. Grant, I got a few deals right now. I got the money, but I don't want to put my own money in there. And I'm shorthanding this conversation, obviously. Through the chats, you realize that I got the ability to do it, but I'm refusing to. And I want to put your money and your lending qualification onto my deal. How would you feel? Probably not very good. There's going to be a lot of question marks, a lot of red flags that go on. And this is why we always say that you got to practice what you preach. Okay, if you got resources, invest. If not invest in yourself first, invest in the vehicle that you've chosen so that you can legitimately be authentic, at the very least, be authentic about the fact that you full-heartedly believe in the investment tool that you've chosen. And so along the same line, though, this is why we love the TYT community. And going back to the whole USP concept, I want to share this little quote by Jim Rohn. And it says, you are the sum average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So start to think about your circles. Start to think about the circle of people and your own circle of influence. I've come across so many people, they're like, I don't know if I can find investors in my circles, because most of the people in my life right now, they either live for the weekend or they're probably in the rat race, or they are perpetually keeping up with the Joneses. You don't know. You can help them, you can train them. At the same time, it's also time for you to reach for a different circle if that's the case. Okay. Now, with that said, I think the message is very, very clear, is the fact that the starting point is you got to do something so that people will take you seriously, because you've demonstrated that you've taken yourself seriously as an investor. In other parts of your life, have fun. Don't worry, because I know sometimes when you take yourself too seriously, other people are not going to. But when it comes to money, it is a serious business and it's a serious subject, and it is our duty and responsibility to protect not just our money, but other people's money when they choose to invest with us. Okay. And so with that said, though, I want to share a few more things with you quickly in terms of the next steps. Now, some of you guys that are in the community, you already know what's happening. So this may or may not apply to you. However, you know we're always here for you. If you think that 2023 is the year to start, I will say that it is the best year to start. And it's the best year not to start acquiring properties when you're uneducated. I will also say that. So it is the best year to start getting yourself educated so that you can actually set yourself up for success. And I know sometimes when I say this, people kind of take it the wrong way without context sometimes. And I'm just going to share this anyway, because you have no idea how excited I have been about this particular recession, because I've been in this industry for the last 13 years. The first time it happened, we were still young investors. The second time it happened, it was because the Alberta oil crashed. And the third time it happened, it was because of lockdown. And right now, 3 recessions later, this is the greatest time for educated investors to make it big. In the next, I'm going to say, and you can quote me later, okay? I'm going to predict the next 3 years are going to be the most glorious years for educated investors. Because right now is when all those people that chose to acquire properties in the last 2 to 4 years, 2 to 4 years, are going to be hurting. Again, we're not taking advantage of people. I want to make that very, very clear, because that would just negate everything that I believe in, period, and everything that I've been sharing with you tonight. The idea is that we are professional investors and we make money and create wealth by solving problems. In this case, we make money and create wealth by solving real estate related problems. There's going to be a lot of those coming up in the next few years here. Just you watch. And so when you start to get yourselves educated and position yourselves as such, you're going to be ready to take on whatever happens next. And that's why we so believe that you're in the right room tonight. For those of you who have never had a chance to speak to a strategy coach yet, now is your chance. Take out your cell phone, open up your camera app, and scan the QR code and book yourself an appointment with one of the strategy coaches so that you can start to figure out if this is the right path for you. Maybe you're ready right now. Maybe you're still about maybe a couple months away to be able to jump into it. That's totally fine. Start the conversation. Keep the momentum going. Momentum is so important in everything that we do in life, especially big things. Now, if you follow me on social media, Instagram or Facebook these days, you probably noticed that yesterday I actually started a push-up challenge. I mean, I didn't call it a challenge. However, I did share about the fact that I forgot really the message of daily efforts. And I really want to encourage everybody to put in some daily efforts, to just something that'll make your life better. It could be push-ups, it could be yoga, it could be meditation, it could be maybe not eating that McDonald's fries tomorrow, even when you crave it. It could be whatever, just mini efforts every single day. And this particular call for some of you could be that mini effort for tonight and tomorrow, okay? So do that. And the next thing here is I wanna share some upcoming events. So TYT, if you're already enrolled, you understand that a lot of these are already accessible to you, so you don't have to worry about it. Now, TYT Team Spotlights. So what we're doing here is we're going to have our next monthly coffee chat. We call it Money and Real Estate Investing. And that's actually happening this Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So most of us, we basically are in our PJs and we have our mug with us with coffee. We need that to, just want us to share some perspectives. And we do encourage, it's more of a Q&A and open forum. So people tend to submit questions ahead of time, or sometimes they get inspired during the session and they'll ask the questions. These coffee chats usually last about 90 minutes. So make sure you bookmark it. You can always find it on Trust Your Talent's website or on our Eventbrite link, which, you know what, I'm going to share with you in the chat box right now if you don't already have it. Okay. So our Eventbrite link, very straightforward. It typically will have everything in it. And for the very first time, we are running a live workshop in Toronto, and that's happening next Saturday. So even if you're not there personally, if you know somebody that can benefit from learning strategic real estate investing and financial education at the same time, please share that link with them. Okay, spread the wealth. Spread the wealth. We are running that session from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Space is limited because it's happening in a hotel ballroom. Okay, space is limited, so we do have to cap it. It is going to be a small and intimate event. So make sure that whoever you're thinking about, let them know about this event, Financial Education through Strategic Real Estate Investing. And that same evening, for those of you who are in the GTA, we are doing a TYT Connect. This is where a lot of the TYT community plus investors from all over the place will come and join us. They may not necessarily be within the TYT community already. However, this is our chance to actually break bread with everybody, share in each other's successes and learnings together. And we just really enjoy having that one-on-one light interactions from time to time too during these events. So I know I've seen Suzanne there. I've seen quite a few people, Jonathan and Kevin there as well. So TYT cash flow game for the very first time also. I mean, we have a lot of firsts this year because it's 2023. All of a sudden, lockdowns are completely in the rearview mirror. So we are doing a lot of live events because, in case you couldn't tell, we love seeing people in person and interacting with people. And so TYT cash flow game day. Space is also limited because it's happening at a hotel ballroom. You do have to RSVP early and get your own ticket. Okay, there are 2 sessions. You can come to one, come to both, whatever it is that you want to do. Just make sure that you go onto Eventbrite, follow the link and get yourself registered and get your tickets. Tickets are also available at the door. So again, if you really love the game, if you've never played it before, definitely come out. Or if you have, okay, I'm going to share this with you, given tonight's context. This is a great game for you to invite your potential money partners to, okay? TYT will help you train them, educate them through playing games that day so they understand the importance of investing and investing in real estate, okay? So follow the Eventbrite link and get yourself your tickets. And Level Up Bootcamp. I know I don't mean to discriminate sometimes at the same time, because all these events are happening next weekend in Toronto. Some of you are going, wait a minute, I am nowhere close to that area. So if you know somebody or even yourself, if you've never done a Level Up Bootcamp with Trust Your Talent, now is also your chance. On March 25th, we're going to be running our next online live Level Up Bootcamp. So same concept, financial education through strategic real estate investing. And I'm going to share with you how you're going to get yourself registered and a little bit of a surprise and bonus for all of you that are here tonight. And TYT Connect is happening in April. So I know we got a few Vancouver rides there. Location TBA, however, every single TYT Connect will happen at 6 p.m. local time, okay? Now, with that said, there is a QR code if you want to just take a picture of it because you already know who you want to share this event with. So live workshop in Toronto. What exactly is a live workshop in Toronto? It is going to have different strategies covered throughout the entire day. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. full day workshop, okay? So if you're coming yourself or whoever it is that you're recommending to join us, make sure you let them know that they don't need to be making plans that night because they either come to TYT Connect or their brains are probably gonna be filled with knowledge and new learnings that they have to digest, okay? And then what's gonna happen is they are going to be learning some hard strategies that we believe should be the fundamental strategies for every real estate investor. Distressed properties, wholesale assignment, lease options, and multifamily investing. And from a soft strategies perspective, creative financing and asset and income protection. Super important. As I mentioned earlier, it is definitely something you want to learn over time to speak well at, okay? And repetition is the mother of all learning. And then in addition to that, there's going to be interactive breakout sessions so that we make sure that we break into smaller groups so that the retention of information and education materials are way, way, way higher. Okay, it's not just go there and sit for 8-9 hours that one day and listen to somebody talk. We don't ever run things like that other than these short sessions online, okay? Contract templates. This is where I always say, you know what? Anybody's worked with lawyers before, accountants? Ever heard of a phrase called billable hours, even on TV and movies? Yeah. And so we're going to be sharing contract templates with you that come to the workshop so that you do not have to spend all that extra money to get some of the basic stuff done. And raising funds scripts are going to be included as well. And course materials and recordings and scholarship opportunities. In addition to that, core courses, okay? Core courses include things like business planning, business budgeting, how to network effectively, goal setting, and even time management. Because we understand so many people, when they want to make a change in their life, yes, you do have to jump head in first. However, it is about altering and making small adjustments on a daily basis so that your success is long-term and, more importantly, sustainable. Remember, it's one of our core values at TYT. We don't want you to be a drive-by-night kind of investor, okay? We want to make sure that whatever it is that you're building, you keep, and for generations to come. And next is unlimited online live bootcamp refreshers in 2023, okay? So with that said, there's way more coming your way. In addition to that, one-on-one conversations with a strategy coach on site that day. Okay. And all of this typically is worth over $9,997, almost $10,000. However, because you are here tonight, or again, because you're here tonight, whoever it is that you also refer, they get our early bird launch special. So it's $199.97 per person. And we always say that it is a team sport for a lot of us. If they want to bring a friend, a family member, or a spouse. I know sometimes we joke that it's what we call B or B partners, bed or business partners, meaning maybe they have the same interest and maybe they're aiming for the same goals and they want to embark on this journey together. So bring a friend or bring somebody else for just $100 more. We've had situations where it's mom and dad that want to invest in their financial education. However, they also recognize the fact that, oh my God, they're not going to have enough to leave for all their 3 children. So what ended up happening is that mom and dad invest in their financial education as a way to pad their inheritance. And so in that case, it would be mom and dad plus 3 kids. So whatever it is, we'll make it work. Okay. Now, the next one here is the online boot camp. The structure is largely similar. However, as I mentioned earlier, it's happening on Saturday, March 25th, and we always start at noon Eastern time. Now, TYT students, especially if you've already been to a boot camp, you know unlimited refreshers come with it. So if you want to come back and just be close to the fire, so to speak, make sure you come back on the 25th. You still have to register for it. Don't forget. And the boot camp typically is valued at nearly $9,000. However, with everything that we're giving you and the fact that you're taking initiative also, we want to make sure that action takers always get rewarded. There's a huge incentive right now. So whoever it is that you're sharing this event with, early bird special is $39.97. As you know, our mission is to create financial independence one person at a time. Okay, every single person, the trainers, the coaches, the mentors on the Trust Your Talent team, we're all financially independent and or financially free. We don't need to be doing this. However, we really want to do this and we love doing what we do. And this is why you can see value versus price. As Warren Buffett says, price is what you pay, value is what you get. And the example that I shared with you about one of the students, one deal completely pay for the investment that she made in herself when it comes to financial education. And now she has options and choices in life. So I do sincerely hope that you spread the word and spread our message, spread our mission, and spread all of these sessions, because everybody needs to start somewhere. Whether it's boot camp or it's workshop, we've been told over and over again that these boot camp days have been the life turning points for many of the students in Trust Your Talent. And so I encourage you to help us spread the wealth. Now, with that said, I know we sort of ran a little bit over. And so at this point, I have 7 minutes in terms of schedule time. But if you know me, you know I'm going to stay here till every last question is answered. So at this point, I want to thank every single one of you for joining me tonight here. I hope you've taken away a few nuggets tonight. And I'm going to be here to answer as many questions as you have this evening. And we will call it a night. So I want to say thank you quickly and move on to the Q&A portion. The official portion now for this session has ended. Feel free to log off if you've got something else planned. If you want to stick around, feel free.
Hey, Tim, I've got a question for you.
Yes.
I made a meeting with a potential money partner that I don't have a deal for yet, and it's for next week. So any tips on initial meetings with somebody? This is like a cold, like a little bit of a, like not cold, but warmish, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know the person. They're an investor out here. And I don't have a deal necessarily to talk on. And I have a feeling that they're the type of personality that's just like right to business. So any thoughts, advice?
Yeah, I love it. You know what? I really like those meetings. First thing first, I know you've taken lease options, yes?
Mhm.
Do you have a class example that you can leverage?
Yeah, I could.
Awesome.
For sure.
So that's one of the things that I would do. Or you can reach out to somebody else in the community who has actually executed a lease option deal recently and
Yeah.
see if you can borrow their numbers and get a little bit of background so that you can present a real life deal, because your deal might be very similar. It just
Yeah.
that sometimes people want you to walk them through the process and paint them a real picture, even if you don't have it yet.
Yeah.
So that's actually funny enough that you asked, because that's what I kind of did in the beginning when I was raising funds.
Yeah.
And that's where the class examples come in.
Cool. No, that's great advice. I've got some people in mind. I'm gonna reach out on that and have some real numbers to go through, because I was preemptive, but I'm trying to get it done. So thanks.
Yeah, of course. Anybody else?
Hi, team.
Hey,
Hi,
Megan.
team. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi, I have a question.
Yes.
Actually, my question is kind of reverse, Jonathan. We
Okay.
do have fewer potential deals, and
Sorry, you're breaking up a little bit.
also-
Do I have what? Sorry.
Okay. Sorry, I've turned off my camera. That will be easy. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you better. Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I've turned off camera then. Well, my question is kind of reverse of Jonathan, because we do have potential deals coming up. And I just want to have investors ready so that I won't let my potential tenant buy wait too long. So in this kind of situation, how do you guys do it from your experience, right? Because I don't want my client to wait too long while I'm looking for the investor for them.
Okay, so if I can just make sure that I'm very clear on this, you have a tenant buyer. The tenant buyer has already gone through your qualification process, and what other steps have you taken with the tenant buyers?
Well, we've been to the mortgage broker,
Okay.
and actually keep eye on the houses right now.
Okay, so they've been pre-qualified and they're now shopping, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
And so you're looking for an investor that'll come in to back this deal?
yes, and
Okay.
and we do have few of the potential tenant buyers lining up to do
Okay.
the mortgage as well. It
Okay.
just feel kind of a lot waiting, and we don't have investors so far. So I was wondering, how do you guys do it usually?
How do we do it? I mean, within the community, we know that there are a lot of people that are looking for great lease option deals, first of all. Second of all, you can also do what we call full wholesale. You don't necessarily have to wholesale your tenant buyers in this case. However, you can co-invest. Okay, so somebody else can actually bring an investor into the deal, or again, I don't know right now your own personal situation when it comes to qualifications and resources. So maybe you are able to back the mortgage, but you just don't have the cash right now for down payment, for example, or vice versa. You can basically do a different kind of JV in that sense too. However, it sounds like you do need to have a bit of an investor package ready, or at least some sort of investor presentation, okay? And within that package, we definitely want your deal analysis to be in there very clearly, because this is the lease option. As you know, it's my baby. So cash flow plus ROI on an annual basis definitely needs to be very, very clear. The length of the deal needs to be very clear. Now, the second step is you want to be very clear about what the money partner needs to do. The step-by-step guide, okay? Have you guys done the lease option course yet?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so the
Yes.
step-by-step guide lists out how you actually qualify your tenant buyers. And so you might want to insert that here somewhere. At the same time, though, what you want to do is to also build a step-by-step guide based on your business decisions that you've made on how you want your investors to proceed. So for example, if you were talking to Joe today, okay, say you're having a conversation, you can be like, and Joe's expressing some interest, And you can now let him know that, hey, Joe, you know what? All we need to know right now is if you're interested, if this is a deal that is going to help you get closer to your financial goal, if you back it, if he says yes, great. The next steps are going to be very easy. Do you have an accountant, do you have a mortgage broker that you've already worked with or that you're currently working with? Are you already qualified, right? So Joe's gonna say, well, actually, you know what, I kind of just got started too. I did have one, however, I don't think, or he'll say, you know, I did have one, but that's only for buying my principal residence. And I don't really think that he's that investor minded. So I don't mind meeting somebody new if you got somebody good. Then you can go, yeah, you know what? The next step actually is for you to put in an application with our mortgage broker, because our mortgage broker can basically streamline this entire purchase process now if you're open to doing that. Because I'm going to be completely frank with you. If somebody came to me and they say they want me to work with their mortgage broker, I'm going to be like, nope, because I already got somebody that I've been working with for over a decade. They know my files inside and out. It's a matter of a phone call and I find out my buying power any day right now. But that's not the scenario that I'm painting you with. So the idea is, this is what's going to happen. And then as soon as you're qualified, and depending on if the tenant buyer has already found a property that they like and want to make an offer on, perhaps you can make an offer. We can make an offer directly on Joe's name, or you can still do an assignment contract in that case. Okay, you basically just, I think you can see where I'm going with this, right?
Yes, yes.
Listing out the next steps for them. Now, I think what would be maybe valuable for you to do is perhaps if you're a little shy at the moment, it's a good time for you to get out of your comfort zone and go into the talented Facebook group and just let people know, hey, you know what? We've got a tenant buyers now in the works. They're actually qualified and they're in the process of shopping already. We're happy to share our processes, our deal analysis with you. If you're interested, send us a message. Okay.
That's cool.
So that's what you can do, because that's the power of Facebook these days. I remember the days when Ray and I literally had to go from networking event to networking event after our jobs in the evening time, carrying binders with our processes and our deal analysis and our educational materials to all these meetings. But now you can just basically post a message. And I want to remind everybody, not just you, Megan, make sure you post cash flow and project the cash flow, but not ROI. Okay. And if you want to present any sort of percentage on Facebook, make sure the word projected or estimated is used before it.
I don't understand this part.
Okay. So you can post potential cash flow. Okay.
Yes.
But if you're going to post a return on investment, never use the word approximately, use projected or estimated.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, I see.
Because we are not licensed by the SEC. Okay, which means we're not actually allowed to post return rates in public, even though that group is a private group on Facebook, but Facebook is considered a public platform.
I see.
Yeah.
Good to know. Thank you very much for sharing.
Yeah, of course. And if you need anything else, just, reach out. Reach out to your mentor, reach out to me, doesn't matter. Happy to help.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any questions? Ooh, last one here. To meet you.
I have a question.
Hey, Joe. What up?
How's it going?
Good.
So I'm having trouble picking a market to really focus on in terms of getting my feet wet with my own deals. I've
Okay.
just sort of been an armchair investor and just
Okay.
kind of been lending my capital out.
Okay.
What would your opinion be on the market? Because I don't see any Canadian market that really interests me. I like the US market more, but I want to listen to my mentor, and my mentor says I need to focus on Canadian markets first before I start running, before I walk.
Yeah. Remember your why goal SMP? So that is a big question. I'm not going to tell you, stay in Canada or go to the US because we're in both for different reasons. And that's because we're clear about our goals and SMPs, right? And so, I mean, a fun way to look at it, if you will, is that if you foresee yourself traveling to the US quite a bit, even for fun, remember, again, we no longer have vacations. They are mostly business trips. So that would be an incentive for you to perhaps build something in the US. And then we will start to look at different markets. However, I will share this with you though. The US really is more of a wild, wild west, even if it's not the Western states. So like you're gonna run into way more variables when it comes to rules and regulations, from the purchase and acquisition process, all the way to tenant management, all the way to eviction, all the way to post-eviction. All those are very, very different. Canada is still a lot easier for most people in the sense that because most laws are federal, the provincial ones really just are RTAs, which is your Residential Tenancies Acts. And that's also why personally, I don't typically buy or hold titles on anything long-term for rentals in Ontario or BC. Okay, I will do short-term strategies like lease options or flips or lending, okay, or SAs, service accommodations. Now, have you picked a mentor yet?
Yes.
Okay, so then I would say that would probably be the conversation you will have with your mentor, because at the end of the day, like, I think it's a much more productive conversation if you've already done your roadmap document, right? You've got your numbers set out, you've got your visions, you've got your timeline. Then picking a market, sometimes I get it. Are you kind of like me a little bit? Actually, I think most entrepreneurs are kind of have a little bit of that shiny object syndromes,
Yeah,
right?
it's
I
just
have that too.
I have friends that are right now like have really great portfolios in the US,
Yeah,
and they're snowbirds, and
yeah,
like I just believe like I live in Vancouver. It's not like my main focus is buying apartment buildings, multi-units, and I'm not going to be able to buy an apartment building in the Vancouver market, but
yeah,
you know, US, it's definitely possible. And,
yeah.
this is what my friends are already doing down there.
Yeah.
And,
Everything is possible. Now, here's the thing. I would say that, you know what? If you want to be very pragmatic about it, do your mentorship in the US. And what I mean by that is do your mentorship, period. Because I know there's always this tendency with a lot of the students that are like, okay, I have to do all these courses before I do my mentorship. However, if you talk to a few students, they will tell you, I wish I actually took a couple of classes and just did my mentorship and execute on it, make the money, and then I can buy another mentorship for another strategy for another market. The point is you get there and you start building, period. That's what the mentorship really is about, is to, put all these things into action. It's no different than, for us Asian folks who love food, right? I'll go to a restaurant and I'll order this dish and it's like, it's got rice, it's got like tofu, it's got vegetables, and it's got this giant slab of meat that I really want, but then I save it for the very last, but then I'm already full. So when I get to the piece of meat, it's not as good anymore. And I feel like a lot of people do that with their mentorships. And that's me speaking from experience, because in the beginning of our career, we actually invested in 3 different mentorships when we wanted to increase our volume and get to the next level, because we knew that, yeah, I mean, it's a hefty investment. However, the return's always exponential regardless, right? So when we went to the US, we got a US mentorship. When we went to the UK, we got a UK mentor as well. It's just the fastest way to collapse time frame. And so again, if I think you've taken a couple of strategy courses already, right? So you've done IP, but that was AC, wasn't it?
I've done I've done lease options, I've done distressed properties, creative financing,
Okay.
and the next one I want to do is multi-units.
Okay. Are you coming to Edmonton?
Should I?
Well, if you are gonna do multi's happening in Edmonton, May 20th and 21st, live.
Oh my gosh, so maybe I should just drive down there or something then.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll see.
yeah, come down. Come down.
Um,
Brian's gonna be here. And yeah, I would definitely just say that if sometimes
Kevin, road trip? Kevin, road trip?
Kevin
You
has
didn't
families
need
here.
me.
He surprised us last December when he showed up at TYT Connect. I'm like, what? Yeah.
We can carpool. Joseph, we can carpool over there.
But yeah, it's not that I'm really focused on US. It's just like, like I really I just don't know where to start with the Canadian markets. It's like, yeah, Edmonton's nice, but like I was planning to do New Brunswick, but half of TYT owns New Brunswick, and like I'm like, and also too, the thing is like the lawyers out there, they're working on island time or something, man. Like I'm asking for like documents for a lawyer. Like my wife she works at a law firm, so she's like blown away. Like, why is it taking months and not days? You know?
And I'm going to say that in most markets that I've been in the US, they are very much island time light.
Oh man. Yeah,
So
I do not like that.
get used to learn to herd some cats first in Canada, then I would say that. Then you will learn to herd cats better in the US.
Yeah, 100% I agree. I'll listen to what my mentor says and not try to do the opposite.
I mean, again, just do your mentorship, and I would say, yeah, look at the Alberta market. I mean, it's not as fun in terms of cash flow like the East Coast, and it's also not as fun as capital appreciation like Vancouver. I mean, not that we're seeing any right now in the last year and a half here. However, the point is, it is that mixture of both, because Alberta is just slow and steady, right? And the other thing is, I used to like Ottawa. I mean, we were in Ottawa for about almost 4 years in total there, and then we pulled out just because the RTAs just got too crazy, because it's still Ontario at the end of the day. So yeah, then I would definitely encourage you to look at Edmonton and Calgary for sure. Now, I know a lot of people are refocusing on the Red Deer markets now too. I don't know that market very well, so you can do some due diligence yourself there too. Yeah. And who's your mentor?
Gustavo.
Awesome. Oh, you're gonna have fun.
That's why I picked him. We're gonna have
Yes.
fun together when we
You're gonna have
do
some
our
fun.
mentorship.
However, he's very
I know. That's
Yeah.
why I picked him.
Yes. Good. He's definitely gonna tell you what you need to hear.
Oh yeah, I've been getting it, but I've been doing the opposite. So yeah.
Well then, that's a
Yeah.
whole other conversation, Joe.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. With 2
It's
kids is
fine.
hard, but I need to be more committed and put the time in to really grow my portfolio for sure.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. So, well, hopefully that helps a little bit. And if you need more, reach out, okay?
100%. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I just got like similar questions. Because I know in our group a lot of people are doing the East Coast, mainly in New Brunswick, and some people want to go into Alberta, but somehow the Alberta market numbers are steady. It's just not performing as good as New Brunswick, or so far the numbers I saw.
Mm-hmm.
How do you pivot that to make people want to invest in the same markets as?
Well, again, goal SMP, right? So again, what is your goal? And the other thing is, what are your current resources like? Because it's funny, looking back at my career, there have been markets that I went into simply because of the investors that I was working with. So For example, I've had investors that are cash flow driven. So a lot of the times they get put into the East Coast projects or in the US projects or my lease options or some of my lending deals. And the other side of it is, like I said to you, these are the high income earning professionals. They're like, please do not pay me every year because it's just going to go onto my T4. Some of them, they're smart enough when I walk them through asset protection and the different corporate structures, they end up setting up corporate structures and family trust and whatnot. And that's a whole different story. However, most of them, especially in the beginning, it's very much one deal at a time to build trust first. And so typically the first 1 or 2 deals, they're going to do it in their personal names. And so, it becomes very equity growth driven. And so then I will put them in a market before Vancouver or Lower Mainland, but mostly Alberta. Right. So it's still, there's a lot of different factors that really come into play. So it's not one size fits all. So for you, it's no different than going back to, okay, what is your goal, both short-term and long-term, right? So at the end of this year, what do you want to accomplish? And and what I mean by that is, because I know we talk about passive income a lot, and I still do want to emphasize the fact that at the end of the day, it's about making sure your wheel of wealth is smooth. And that wheel, making the wheel smooth, it's not just for you personally anymore. You got to look at it as my real estate investing business, because if you have other investors' money and they want to grow other buckets, then that could take your attention away first, and that could take priority first too. At the end of the day, it still benefits you regardless, one way or another. Depends on how you structure the deal. And this is where, in your case, where Brooke can come in and help you, right? Yeah. So, yeah, again, I wish these conversations were straightforward most of the times. However, 99% of the times they're not. They're so tailored. Yeah.
I figure maybe a lot of beginners like me as well, we look at the ROI first, and most of us will go to East Coast.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're still looking for cash flow, I mean, regardless, that's the thing about real estate, is that most of the times the numbers today are never going to be as good as the numbers from, let's say, 5-10 years ago. However, again, are you going to just sit on your hands and twiddle your thumb and do nothing? You still got to go in regardless, because 5 years later, somebody else in this community will go, oh, I wish I got in when Kevin got into that market. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just remember to stick to the basics though, regardless, right? Still set out your minimum requirements, meaning what's your minimum cash flow after stabilization, and what is your minimum cash on cash requirement. And the other thing these days now, especially in those markets, is, are you also looking for properties right now that's turnkey, or are you going to be looking for properties that you still need to do some work, meaning you still got to go through the BRRRR process? And are you going to be looking for a property that's going to come with a piece of land that you can develop later on too, right? All those things come back and determine, in a way, who you talk to later, or maybe you already have access to these resources. So
Definitely come back once I get there.
yeah.
Thanks, Dean.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I know you're in Vancouver. Both of you are in Vancouver, Joe and Kevin. So next Saturday, when we're running the workshop, Ray and I are actually doing one-on-one calls with people that are in the GTA. So, Megan, if you want to come, I don't know if you got the email yet. However, you can have a one-on-one with either myself or Ray if you like, next Saturday at the hotel that we're in. There was an email that came out. So
Are you guys going to do a similar one in Vancouver soon? And also the cash flow Oregon?
yeah, we might run a cash flow game day, and we'll yeah, because this one is the first one. And the Vancouver one, really, it's because, we're doing the sun run, right? We're coming back for the sun run.
Yeah.
You guys found a spot, right, for the conference?
Yeah, well, Christina, Well, right here, Christina is on this call. She was the one that actually set it up for us. And so we just decided that we're gonna come. And that's why we're also doing a TYT Connect on the 15th. Ray and I actually come home from South America on the night of the 13th. We'll be home on the 14th and we fly again on the 15th. So yeah.
Anyone who wants to sign up, I think there's still a week left to sign up.
Okay, so I think Kevin, we need to get you the link. And yeah, and Christina has been really gracious at accommodating and helping everybody get signed up for the Sun Run there. Okay, you know what? Then I'm just gonna call it. This is the end of tonight's session. Thanks for hanging around. And I will see you guys when I see you guys in person.